Hi, Nigel. Can I ask you again on Grok? You mentioned that yourself and President Trump have disagreed on things in the past. Do you think that President Trump is right to consider sanctioning UK officials at Ofcom for taking action against child pornography on Grok? And Nadhim, can I ask you as well, as a former businessman yourself, do you think that Reform's policy, or Reform currently has enough policy on international trade and foreign policy? I've heard from businesses myself that they're not clear on what that Reform policy might be. And in terms of importing and exporting in particular, do you have any ideas that you will be sharing with the party?
Can I just touch upon, I know Nigel will come back on this, on the whole issue of Grok. What happened with Grok, by the way, you could do on PowerPoint, right? Anyone who chooses to want to create an image, you could have done in the past. So technology is moving fast. What you don't do, in my view, is take a heavy-handed approach and start banning stuff, right? What Nigel said is absolutely spot on. Elon Musk is one of the great businessmen of our generation, and he's rightly come out and said, we will fix this, and the fix is to make sure that people who are registered, who you know who their identity is, can use some of this new technology, not people who hide their identity, and I think that's a good thing. But when you start attacking a business just because you don't agree with the owner's politics or stance, I think it's a dangerous place to be, which is where, if the reports are right, is where Keir Starmer is at on this. So I just want to remind everyone here that all this stuff, technology moves all the time, right? We have to be the place that is open, and especially my new party and their absolute belief in free speech, be the place that cherishes that. On business and trade, I'm going to compliment someone else who is in the room here, is Richard Tice, because I've seen Richard operate internationally as well. He walks in a room and people listen. And that's, by the way, half the battle. More important than all the other headlines that you make is when they're listening, they know that you're true and you'll deliver. And that, if you ask any business, any other country that engages in negotiations on free trade with the UK, they think that actually up until now we've been totally slow and flat-footed in our negotiations. Why haven't we got a CETA deal with countries like the UAE? Because we've been slow. Because all we're saying is, well, we'll wait until we get the whole GCC. If that doesn't happen, we won't do this. Too flat-footed, too slow. We need to pump growth back in the economy, and I think what Richard will do will absolutely deliver on that.
You may well worry and ask, why are the Americans so concerned about what's happening on platforms here? The answer is very simple. Graham Lyland, a foreign national, who, for what he said when he was in Arizona, was arrested by 5 armed police at Heathrow Airport. And the fear of the Trump administration, this could happen to any of their top businessmen. I can't think of a more negative thing for the British economy or the reputation of our country than that.